What's better than having a modded version of some of the most famous overdrive and distortion pedals? Well, that's having the ability to flick between two of them in the one unit. Let's check out the brand new 4-in-1 series from Keeley. Keeley Electronics, and particularly Robert Keeley of Keeley Electronics, are no strangers to their modded versions of classic distortion and overdrive pedals. I mean, even just this year, Keeley released an Andy Timmons signature pedal called the Muse Driver, which is based off of a modded Boss Blues Driver, which, check out the review for that if you haven't already. Link is above my head and in the description. Now, that pedal was really cool because it changed the sort of what you would expect out of a blues driver, particularly. It gave you a couple of modes to switch between, and actually the combination, well, the ability to combine different circuits and different gain sort of aspects as well. So what have Keeley done? They've gone and released 3 pedals that have this exact same ethos, but with a lot of features that I think players will really enjoy. And actually, even in just within the first 5 minutes of using these pedals myself, I can see that these are so useful for any sort of player. Just the ability to switch between certain features, certain gain controls, and certain tone stacks just opens up this really cool ability to shape your own tone. So let's not waste any time and let's just dive right into the 4-in-1 series. I'm going to be using our Ibanez AZ42P1 for all the sounds for this, and that's also going through our Supro Blackmagic. It's mic'd up with a Shure SM57 and a KSM32. For some lead stuff as well, I'll throw on the Dunlop Echoplex as well, just for a little bit of flavour. But let's start with the first one, and that's the Blues Disorder. So this is probably a good opportunity, just so I'm not repeating myself over every single pedal, to kind of talk about the new construction of these pedals and a couple of features that are kind of shared between all of the range. So as we mentioned, the Muse Driver was released at the start of this year, which is the Andy Timmons signature overdrive. This was the first sort of form of this new chassis that I've seen from Keeley. And obviously they've adopted them for the 4-in-1 series as well. And I actually really like these new aluminium casings for them as well. They're really small, they can fit on anybody's pedal board really nicely. And of course they've got top jacks, as you can see from there as well. So you can get them really close together if you need to. Couple of extra features with them as well is that they can be ran between 9 or 18 volts, so you can get a little bit more headroom out of them as well. It's a really good feature when it comes to distortion and overdrive pedals, because just as I said, gives you a little bit more headroom depending on what you're plugging into. They also feature a true bypass and a buffered option as well that you can change between. So if you do want it in true bypass, or if you want it as a buffered pedal, or you want to turn that off if you do have a buffer in your chain, you just simply press and hold the foot switch there as well, which have actually, they're really nice, soft, kind of clickless ones as well, which you see on quite a lot of boutique high-end pedals, which just feels great to press and on your feet as well. So going over the general sort of layout of these pedals too. Really easy. If you watched our Muse Driver review, it's very familiar as well. But you've essentially got your tone, your level, and your drive. It's going for that kind of classic overdrive sort of setup where there's not too many options to go between. Makes it nice and easy for you to dial in something and just kind of leave it and know that you're always going to be sorted with that. But the main thing, obviously, with the 4-in-1 series here is your ability to switch between 2 different modes on the tone and the drive, giving you kind of 4 options to go between. So starting with this one here, you'll notice you've got these 2 switches just underneath the drive and the tone. Again, very similar to the Muse Driver that I keep bringing up, but I promise that'll probably be the last time that I mention it. But what these are doing is these are the ones that are these are the switches that you use to switch between either the tone control, and that could it differs between every single pedal, so I'll mention exactly what they're doing. And it's the same on the drive side as well. This is how you kind of switch between your clipping style with them, which will give you the different drives that you would expect from the pedals they're corresponding with. So the Blues Disorder here, essentially what that's mixing in is it's a Blues Breaker style circuit with the BB, and then it is an OCD style circuit, the full tone OCD that is, on the other one. So you're going between a kind of amp-like breakup or a good boost in the Blues Breaker, nothing too crazy, and then a more kind of high octane distortion with the OCD style one. And what the tone is giving you on that is it's giving you quite a flat response on the BB, and when you flick it down, it's giving you a little bit more mid-focus. So this is just our clean tone here. And I'll set everything nice and flat on the Blues Disorder here as well. So this is BB mode on both the tone and the drive. And of course that can range from dark with the tone down there. You can raise the drive as well, see how that sounds. Turning the tone up on there as well is obviously going to give you a little bit of a brighter sound to it. And you can even roll the drive back, boost the level a bit, and actually got quite a nice sort of, you know, not too gainy boost if you do need it. You can imagine putting that in front of a distorted amp. It's just going to give you that kind of slightly, you know, pushed overdrive sort of sound onto it, and just gives you a lot of options as well. And I'll crank the drive on it just so we can hear how far the BB setting goes with it. Pretty transparent, good natural sounding overdrive there. So when we switch over to the OCD, now this is a totally different circuit in it as well. They are all analog pedals, so there's not any, you know, digital things going on to switch between these. They are completely two different circuits, which gives you the kind of most authentic sound, in my opinion, for them. So this is everything relatively flat where it was on the OC setting. There's a lot of room for gain in this one, I feel, as well, so you can crank that up. And again, this is through just a completely clean amp. Even turn down all the tone on that as well if you want it a little bit woolier for a kind of, you know, nice warm clean tone. It's maybe a bit too woolly in my opinion. So obviously that pedal just in itself, and across all three pedals too, that gives you the ability to switch between each sort of stage, and they all kind of have got this somewhat similar sort of ethos where you've got like one lower gain and one higher gain setting in it, other than the Angry Orange, which we'll get onto. So I guess where a lot of the modding aspect comes into it is the ability to actually flick between either setting on the drive and either setting on the tone and mix them together. So essentially you can have like a blues breaker with an OCD drive sound onto it, so it's hard clipping, or you can have the flat response of the blues breaker tone and then the drive of the OCD. So I'll just flick between the two of them, let you hear what's going on when you actually switch between them. So let's start just on the blues breaker setting here. And then if we flick onto the OCD drive here, you'll hear it just gets a little bit kind of obviously more gainy. And I guess that's one important thing to say as well, is because they are two different analog circuits, there will be a little bit of a volume discrepancy between each of the settings you can go between. So just bear that in mind, obviously, if you are dialing anything in. Let's do the opposite setting. So we'll go with the drive from the blues breaker and we will use the tone for the OCD. Of course, that was just a couple of examples of the settings on the blues disorder there. There is obviously loads of scope for you to use this for however you want to, whether you want it as like a bit of a kick to the front of your amp, whether you want it in front of another distortion pedal as well, which I will try towards the end of the video, because some really cool things happen when you start combining the sounds of these together, especially when you start mixing in the clipping settings and the tone settings. But certainly anybody who needs a kind of warmer sounding amp like Overdrive and the Blues Breaker, but then maybe need an extra kick with something like an OCD, the Blues Distorter is a great pedal to check out. So let's jump right over to the Super Rodent here, which is our second pedal, which, as you would imagine from the name of this one and the ST and the RT notation that's on the front of the pedal there, this is going for a bit of a super overdrive and a rat sort of setting. So kind of a similar sort of ethos, I guess, with the Blues Disorder, where you've got a slightly lower gain overdrive and then a much higher gain full-blown distortion with it. So let's set everything nice and neutral on there. Again, just a reference for clean tone. Again, it's always good. Let's turn that on the super overdrive setting. So obviously, the way that a lot of people maybe use a super overdrive, let me know if you do use it in this setting in the comments down below, is to kind of dime all the drive back, set the tone to wherever you want it, but then kind of dial the level up just that little bit as well. Again, just giving you that kind of like boost to your sound, not necessarily colouring it with gain in any sort of way. But then if you do want it as your dedicated gain, you can as well. I'll lower that tone down a little bit just and boost the drive ever so slightly. Nice, and again quite transparent. You're not really, you can still hear a bit of the amp coming through there as well, but certainly what's not transparent is the Rat side of this pedal, which if anybody's ever played Rat distortion, you'll know what it sounds like. And an important detail to say with this is that it doesn't use the classic sort of filter settings where the higher you turn the filter slash tone on a Rat, it gets darker, and the lower you turn it, the brighter it is. This goes for the more classic. When it's down to the left counterclockwise, it's darker, and when you turn it to clockwise, to the right, it's much brighter. Here's how that sounds. Not giving you exactly, you know, that proper Rat sound. What I was finding, certainly with these pedals, from having a quick go at them before we started filming today, they don't have, I feel, as much drive as you would expect from, you know, Rat or even like an OCD or anything, but I quite like that about them, that they're, you know, they're kind of tailored to both sides, so you're not sacrificing like that transparent side of the Super Overdrive, you know, or that it's not, you can use as many buzzwords for it as you want to, but it's not giving you, you know, not the option to have that kind of dime down as a boost. And then maybe with that, you know, you're sacrificing the kind of drive level for something like the Rat. But as I've mentioned, you throw something else in front of these pedals or even after and they react really, really well. So if you do have another gain pedal, or even if you've got a boost or anything, that can definitely solve that issue. Now let's speed run through just mixing the settings together. So we'll start with the tone of the Super Overdrive and we will go with the distortion of the Rat. Got an idea of that there, and if we do the same, let's go back to the drive of the Super Overdrive and then the tone circuit of the Rat. Let's set this back to neutral there as well. Actually, it's probably a good chance to see how dramatic that tone shift is, because this is what this is doing. Instead of it being a flat and a mid focus as the Blues Disorder is, this is actually just it's a mid focus at the top and then it changes to the Rat filter at the bottom. So very quick switch back to the other settings there, just to get a little idea of what's going on when you're switching those over. So again, loads of options with the Super Rodent there. Out of, you know, all three, this is maybe giving you the most kind of scope for both pedals, I feel, because the Super Overdrive can still get quite gainy. Not to say that the Bluesbreaker isn't, but that's obviously just a slightly different flavour. And then the Rat is just such a versatile pedal as well that you can kind of use that for a lot of stuff. And even, you know, for players like Nuno Bettencourt and whatnot, they actually use that in front of a distortion amp to just give that a little bit of a kick as well. So it's definitely such a versatile and really, really great sounding pedal. Now moving on to our last one, which is the Angry Orange. Now what this has got going for it is it's got the MF and the DS settings for the tone and the drive here as well. The MF is actually based on a 90s Civil War Big Muff, so you're getting that proper kind of, you know, fuzzy, really nasty sort of sounding, mid-scooped sort of Big Muff sound, which just sounds awesome. And then moving over to the DS side, no guesses, that's a DS1, so you're getting a lot of kind of classic sort of DS1 tones out of that, and that's giving you just that really, really kind of high drive as well. Soft clipping, hard clipping on the drive side, and then it's tilt 1 and tilt 2 for the tones, because there's not any sort of particularly, you know, frequency sort of focus on them. So let's just do the same with this. Everything nice and neutral. Let's start on the MF setting. I mean, it's almost just habit now whenever I play a fuzz pedal that I need to do open octaves a la Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, I think everybody's the same, to be fair. What's your fuzz song when you play a fuzz pedal, Aaron?
Carnival?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Obscure though, I don't know.
Pretty good one as well. Shout out to all those Carnival fans out there. But let's move over to the DS1 side of the pedal here as well. You're going to probably immediately recognise a little bit of the tones on this one. So as you would expect, loads of gain out of that side, especially when it's considered, you know, to be a DS1 style pedal. Let's very quickly just hear how they're sounding when you start mixing them. So let's keep the tilt 1 of the MF mode here, and let's go to the DS1 style distortion as well. loads of scope there as well, especially when mixing in the drive of that, because you're just getting obviously like a wee bit more kind of hard clipping with the fuzz style tone there. And then very quickly, let's just hear how the DS1 tone sounds with the MF muff style drive. So very quickly as well, before I wrap up this look at the new Keeley 4-in-1 series, I do just want to show you how these pedals react with each other as well, kind of to what I alluded to at the start. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the, well, I have set the Super Rodent here to lower drive, tone's kind of sitting in the middle, and the level is boosted to compensate for the lower drive. And this is what that sounds like, just going through the clean. So still a bit of colour to your gain there, but when we combine that with the Angry Orange, which is going to be pulling most of the weight on the drive side there, trying to keep the tone kind of as neutral as possible, but you hear it will get a little bit obviously shaped by this pedal as well. Let's turn this on. So it's a pretty classic trick, as I mentioned. You know, people have been doing that with Rats and been doing it with Tube Screamers and any sort of boost pedal as well. But it just shows that just because these pedals have got a couple of circuits in them, it doesn't mean that they can't be used with some other stuff and can really sort of enhance or, you know, throw into your arsenal just to give you loads and loads of flexibility with, you know, these pedals, and certainly with your tone just in general. I've been really, really impressed with them, and I've loved playing with each one of them just because they've all of them have got their own sort of unique features to them. But of course, with them all being the similar layout, you don't feel lost as soon as you plug in with them. And especially, I'm going to mention it again, but with the Muse driver, as anyone has tried this out or is familiar with this, then you'll get on immediately well with the brand new 4-in-1 series. But what do you think about them? Which one's your favourite, and are you really excited about these pedals? Because certainly I am. Leave any comment down below, tell me what you think about the new 4-in-1 series from Keeley. And while you're down there, if you've liked the video at all, give us a like and give us a subscribe. It really does help the channel. But until then, I've been Kieran, and this is the brand new 4-in-1 series from Keeley Pedals. Have a great day. Smash, 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 smash.
So I cue that some applause.
Yay!